Do you believe food can decide life or death? Imagine standing in front of a king who might kill you if he doesn't like the taste of your dish. That's the reality of Bon Appétit, Your Majesty. Today, I'll take you through episode 1 in detail, minute by minute, so you feel like you're watching the whole story unfold right here with me. In the very first scene, we are in the royal court. A young woman, Yeon Jeong, is dragged in front of the king. The ministers accuse her for using food to bewitch him, and the crowd shouts for her death. But instead of punishing her, the king does something shocking. He promotes her. He says, "You'll be my head chef, but if you ever repeat a dish or if I don't like your food, you die." Right there in the first 5 minutes, we understand the stakes. Now, as the court murmurs in shock, Jeong is still frozen. Not fully grasping what just happened, people whisper about the king's deadly reputation, how he is known for being short-tempered and impossible to please. The whole palace knows this is almost a death sentence in disguise. Then suddenly, we jump back in time, or rather forward for Jeong. The story flashes to the year 2025. Jeong is on a flight returning to Korea after winning a big French cooking competition. She is holding an old Joseon recipe book, Mangurong, which her father had asked her to bring back. Inside there is a love note written long ago. "My dearly beloved, may you come back to my side." As she is flipping through the pages, a solar eclipse darkens the sky. In an instant, she is pulled out of her world and thrown back into the past. She wakes up in the forest in Joseon. At the same time, the king, Hyun, is out hunting nearby. They cross paths, and it's awkward from the start. Jeong sees him in royal robes and thinks he's just a cosplayer doing some kind of historical play. He, on the other side, looks at her strange clothes and thinks she must be some kind of a spirit. Before they can figure it out, a rebel's arrow flies towards them and they both tumble off a cliff. When they survive the fall, Jeong quickly takes charge. She patches up the king with whatever modern supplies she had in her bag. Ointment, scarf, anything that works. She is still convinced this is some crazy reenactment and even ties him up like stubborn horse, dragging him along to a small cottage she finds. At the cottage, they meet a kind young woman named So Gilgum. Jeong starts cooking with a few ingredients available, making a simple bibimbap, where the king reluctantly tastes it. Something changes his face. That one bite pulls him back to his childhood, to memories of his mother's cooking. He even sheds a tear without realizing it. That's the first time we see that food isn't just food in this drama, it's emotion, memory, and healing. But peace doesn't last long. The king's search party arrives to retrieve him, and Jeong and Gilgum get caught up in the cruel practice called Chehong, where women are seized for palace service. They are thrown into the holding area filled with frightened women. Because of their ages, they aren't chosen as concubines, but instead pushed into kitchen duty. Because of their ages, they aren't chosen as concubines, but instead pushed into kitchen duty. There, Jeong overhears that food must be prepared for some powerful palace guest. She cleverly makes a deal with the governor's son. If her food impresses the guest, he must release all the captured women. Now, with very limited tools, she improvises. She sears meat, makes a small refined portions like a French-style steak dish. It looks beautiful, but the guests aren't ready for the kind of elegance. The ones arriving are Chef Royal Secretary Im Song-che and his father, Minister Im Song-hong. They are corrupt and arrogant, and the moment they see the plate, they feel insulted. Tiny portions? To them, it's an offense. They order her to be punished. Jeong, instead of panicking, boldly declares, "If my dish isn't good, then you can kill me." Just when it seems like her fate is sealed, the king himself walks in. He demands to taste the dish. He chews slowly, the whole room waiting, and then he smiles. He actually loves it. He calls the imps tasteless and scolds them in front of everyone. In one stroke, he saves Jeong, declares her food worthy, and announces that she is coming with him to the palace with his chef. At the same time, he exiles the governor, showing his ruthless authority. The rest of the captured women are released, but Jeong and Gilgum don't share the same luck. Even so, the governor's son keeps his promise and secretly frees them. They run towards the cliff, where Jeong desperately searches for her handbag. She believes the Mangurong recipe book is the key to returning home. The king hears of their escape and heads to the same spot. Jeong pleads him, "Help me find that book and I'll do anything in return." He smirks at her words. Anything to a trained king is dangerous. He has both women captured again, placed in wooden stocks and taken to the palace. From here, Jeong is introduced to a strict, suffocating palace life. The kitchens run like an army, every move watched closely. She is a modern woman trapped in the past, but she knows only one thing can keep her alive: her cooking. As all this unfolds, we also meet Kang Mok-ju, a powerful concubine who was once a courtesan years ago. Prince Jason saved her from the prison and placed her near the king as his eyes and ears. She is both mysterious and dangerous, loyal to Jason, but possibly in love with the king. Jason himself is quietly plotting in the background, nursing these grudges. And finally, we circle back to where we started. Jeong standing before the throne and the king laying out the deadly terms, cooking something new every day, never repeat a dish, and every plate you serve me will decide if you live or die. The first course, gochujang butter bibimbap, marks the beginning of her fight to survive in the world that isn't hers. And that's how episode 1 of Bon Appétit, Your Majesty ends, on a cliffhanger that makes you want to see what she'll cook next and whether food can truly change the fate of a trained king. If you like this detailed explanation, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the bell, because I'll be breaking down every single episode in the same storytelling style just for you.